Hello and welcome to Online Yoga and Wellness. I'm Kate Astle. Today you're going to be joining me for a 45-minute yoga sequence. The style of yoga that we're going to be doing today is called Hatha. And throughout today's poses, what we're going to be looking at doing is connecting the mind to the body and to the breath. So we're wanting to draw our awareness into the moment and try and release any thoughts of reflection in the past and of projection into the future. So life can become very busy at times, and with a lot going on, we have a habit of either reflecting on past activities, of what's happened today, of something that might have happened last week even, or projecting into the future. So always thinking about what's coming next and how we can mitigate risks, or even visualizing a certain scenario or how something will play out. So throughout these practices, what we're going to be doing is trying to draw our awareness into the present moment so that we can connect to the body and to the breath and allow the mind a spaciousness and nothingness to be able to process how the body's feeling, what emotions we're feeling, and then coming up with ways in which we can process these and overcome them. For today's class, I'll have you remove shoes and socks, and we're going to start on the mat today with our legs folded in front of us. However this feels comfortable for you. If you need, you can place a pillow underneath the hips just to elevate them. We're wanting to make sure that we can lengthen through the spine, sitting up nice and tall. And throughout today's yoga sequence, remembering to practice mindfully. So listen to your body, only going as far as you can go. Throughout each of these classes, we'll be starting and finishing with a mindfulness practice. So this is what will allow us to keep our minds in the moment and to release any thoughts that we've come into today with. Some tools that you can use to draw yourself into the moment are your senses. So we're going to start to tap into the senses. If you like to, while you're sitting on the mat, you can gently close the eyes, taking in a deep breath, and again. Starting to notice what you can hear. Project your hearing out as far as you can hear. And then slowly drawing your awareness of what you can hear back to within the four walls you're sitting. Bringing your awareness from external into where you are now in the moment. From here, we're going to notice what we can smell. Notice what we can taste. While keeping the eyes closed, noticing any light, any shadows. And then we're going to tap into what we can feel. So starting with our external feelings, our body's points of contact with the mat, our clothing against our skin, the temperature of the air, starting to feel all of these sensations, becoming aware of them. And then we're going to start to draw our awareness inward. Noticing our muscles and our joints. Noticing any tension, any sensations you can feel within the body. And then drawing your awareness to your breath, feeling the rise and fall of the chest with each in and out breath. Observing the breath, if it's shallow or deep. Noticing the rhythm. Just sitting here with the breath for a moment. If you're struggling to keep the mind present with you, begin to focus on the triangle beneath the nose, feeling the temperature of the air as it passes into the nose, down the throat, and feeling the chest and the lungs expand as you inhale. Visualize the fresh oxygen traveling to all of the cells within the body, feeling them come to life, waking up, ready and prepared for today's practice. And then as you exhale, feeling the air as it leaves the body, the weight of the chest, feeling the air pass back through the nose or out the mouth. Continue with this visualization. And then gently opening your eyes, just noticing the state of the body right now in this moment. Begin to circle the shoulders up to the ears and down the back, noticing any tension in the head, in the neck, in the upper back. Big circles, and then back in the opposite direction. Continue focusing on the breath, focusing on the body and the feeling of the movement, and then allowing the shoulders to rest. Feeling a straight line from the sit bones all the way through the spine, leading out the crown of the head all the way up to the ceiling. Keeping the shoulder blades down the back as you lift up through the chest. Taking a deep breath as you exhale, dropping the chin to the chest. Keep lengthening through the spine. We're going to gently roll the head from left to right, observing the sensations in the neck, down to the shoulders, observing the weight of the head. As you drop the chin to the chest, surrender to gravity. Two more rolls. And then dropping the chin to the chest and inhaling the head back up to center. From here, we're going to come over into our hands and knees into tabletop. For today's class, I'm going to take you through some foundation asanas, which are also the yoga poses. So as you come over onto your hands and knees, I'm wanting you to make sure that the wrists are underneath the shoulders, straight line, and that the knees are underneath the hips. making sure that the hands are shoulder width apart and that the knees are shoulder width apart. Opening the hands out nice and wide, spreading the fingers, pressing the shins and the top of the feet down onto the mat, and having the shoulder blades down the back with a neutral spine gazing down towards your hands. This pose is called Tabletop. We return to this pose throughout Hatha sequences frequently. We're now going to move through a series of cat-cow, which is also breath work and the way that we can connect the body to the breath. So I want you to take a deep breath in, and as you do, drop the belly down to the mat, lift up through the crown of the head, arching through the back. This position is called cow. As you exhale, draw the belly button to the spine, tuck the tailbone, and drop the crown of the head down towards the mat. This position is cat. Breathing in, dropping the belly. As we breathe in, we create space in the lungs and belly for the air to enter. And then as we exhale, we draw the belly button to the spine, pushing the air out of the lungs with the body. Inhaling back to cow, lifting up through the crown of the head. And exhale, chin to the chest, tuck the tailbone, belly button to the spine. Start to follow your breath here. Starting to become aware of the hips and the shoulders, noticing the spine. And as you start moving through these poses, you can start exploring them. You can start shifting the weight backwards and forwards, shifting the weight from the hands to the knees. Or you can explore side to side. Just starting to move the body in a way that feels comfortable. Feeling through the shoulders, through the hips. 2 more breaths here. And then we're going to come back to a neutral spine into tabletop. From here, coming down onto the elbows, keeping the hips elevated up to the ceiling, we're going to gently circle the wrists. Circling them back in the opposite direction. And then back to center. Walking the hands back, placing the hands underneath the shoulders. Tucking the toes here, we're going to lift the hips up to the ceiling into downward dog. So with this pose, we want to make sure that we are in a V so that we aren't out here or that we're not leaning back too far. If your hamstrings are tight, what you can do is you can bend the knees, making sure to push the head down between the shoulders. Start exploring downward dog by bending through the alternate knees, walking the feet, stretching through the calves, stretching through the backs of the legs. Then we're going to bend through both knees, straighten through both legs, and sink down into the heels. Pressing the head forward between the shoulders. Bending through the knees again. Straightening through the legs and sinking down into the heels. One more time, bending through the knees, straightening through the legs and sinking down into the heels. From here, we're going to return the knees back down to the mat, finding tabletop. We're going to walk the knees out to the edges of the mat, just outside hip width apart. We're going to join the big toes, and we're going to sit back onto the heels into what's called child's pose. So you can walk the hands out in front here. We're going to connect the forehead down onto the mat, allowing the arms to rest from the shoulders. Taking in a breath, allowing the hips to soften over the feet. Connecting the forehead to the mat, resting the arms. Taking in one more breath here, observing the hips, observing if they're tight, any tension in the lower back. And then inhaling back up to tabletop. Walking the knees back in hip width apart. Tucking the toes here, lift the hips back up to the ceiling into downward dog, sinking down into the heels. We're going to step the right foot to the right hand, the left foot to the left hand, into what's called a forward fold. So if the hamstrings are tight, keeping the knees bent, otherwise you can straighten through the legs. We want to allow the upper body to hang from the hips, hanging forward. Loosen through the shoulders, through the spine. Taking the hands to the opposite elbows, drop the crown of the head down to the mat. We're going to make a figure 8 with the elbows. Releasing here through the spine, through the shoulders. And then back in the opposite direction. And then back to center, releasing the hands back down towards the mat. From here, we're going to take a deep breath in, lifting up through the chest, placing the hands on the shins, coming up with a straight spine. So you can see here, straight extending out, and then exhale, folding forward. Bending through the knees, we're going to sweep the hands from the mat up to the ceiling, taking a deep breath in, and exhale, folding forward. Placing the hands back down onto the mat, stepping the right foot back, stepping the left foot back. We're going to lower the hips down here into a plank. Then we're going to drop the knees, drop the hips, and drop the chest. So we're laying down on the mat. We're going to walk the hands out in front, tucking the elbows underneath the shoulders. So making sure the elbow and shoulder lifting up here through the crown of the head, arching through the back. You can gently roll the shoulders up and back, move the hips from side to side as you get comfortable here in what's called Sphinx. Taking in a breath, and as you exhale, allowing the body to drop down closer to the mat. From here, we start our back bend series. Starting to notice the body, how it's feeling. Noticing if you can feel your heart beating in your chest. On your next inhale, you're going to press into the hands, straightening through the arms, arching further through the back. Exhale, dropping the elbows down to the mat. Inhale, pressing into the palms. Exhale, lowering down. One more time, pressing into the palms and lowering back down. Pressing into the palms, lift the elbows, drop the chest back down to the mat. Take the hands beneath the shoulders. From here, we're going to press into the palms, straightening through the arms. If the back is still tight, keeping the elbows slightly bent, but lifting up here, dropping the hips down to the mat into what's called cobra. And then we're going to bend through the knees, bend through the hips, and sit back into our child's pose. Big toes together, forehead down onto the mat. Taking a breath. And then lifting back up to tabletop. Walking the knees in hip width apart, wrists underneath the shoulders. Tucking the toes, lift the hips up to the ceiling into downward dog. Bending through the knees, straightening through the legs, sinking down into the heels, making sure you're pressing the head between the arms. Again, sinking down, straightening through the legs, and then sinking into the heels. This time we're going to step the left foot to the left hand, right foot to the right hand, into a forward fold, letting the head hang here, the arms hanging from the shoulders. We're going to inhale to a halfway lift, straight back, hands on the shins. Exhale, folding forward. Bending through the knees, we're going to sweep the hands from the floor up to the ceiling. And exhale, folding forward. Placing the hands on the mat. Stepping the left foot back. Stepping the right foot back into plank. We're going to drop down to the knees. Drop the hips, drop the chest. Keeping the hips dropped down to the mat, we're going to press through the palms, straightening through the arms into cobra. Taking a breath here. And then sitting back into child's pose. Knees out nice and wide, dropping the forehead down to the mat. Taking a breath. Feeling the hips settle over the heels. Feeling the body start to loosen. And then we're going to inhale back up to tabletop, drawing the knees in hip width apart. Checking that the wrists are under the shoulders, knees are under the hips. From tabletop, we're going to step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. We want to make sure that the right knee doesn't go over the right toes. So if you need to, walking the left leg away, making sure that the hands are together inside the right foot. We're going to gently lean backwards and forwards as we press the hips forward, opening through the right hip. Breathing in, leaning back. Exhale, pressing forward. One more time. We're then going to step into the right foot as we inhale the arms up and overhead, pressing the hips forward. So this is a low lunge. We're going to interlace the fingers above the head and then drop them down to the right knee, pressing the hips forward again here. Keeping the left hand on the right knee, so the opposite. We're going to wrap the right arm around the body, taking it towards the inside of the left hip, twisting through the spine. If this feels comfortable for you, stay here. An advanced option would be to bend through the left knee, taking the right hand to the left foot. So finding your balance. As you exhale, deepening the twist. And then unwrapping the right arm, taking it back onto the right knee. Stepping the hands back down to the mat. Taking in a breath here, pushing the hips forward once again. And then we're going to slowly lean back, straightening through the right leg, drawing the right toes back towards you. If you need to, you can come upright, reaching towards the right toes. If you can, we want to really fold the upper body forward over the right leg, stretching through the hamstring. So just observing here where you can feel the stretch. If you can feel it behind the knee, if you can feel it in the sit bones or in the back. With each out breath, folding a little bit deeper. And then slowly stepping back into the right foot. Placing the hands on the inside. And then we're going to step the right foot back, placing the knee on the mat, finding tabletop. If you need to here, you can gently move the hips from left to right. You can move them back and forward, just releasing any tension. And then we're going to change sides, stepping the left foot to the outside of the left hand. Making sure that the left knee doesn't go over the left toes. We're going to gently start inhaling to come back, exhaling to lean forward. Inhaling, leaning back, exhale, pushing forward. One more time. Pressing forward here and holding. Stepping into the left foot. Inhale the hands up to the ceiling into a low lunge. Interlacing the fingers, placing them down onto the left knee. Keeping the right hand on the left knee, so opposite. Wrapping the left arm around the body, reaching for the inside of the right hip. Twisting, opening through the chest. So if this feels comfortable, remaining here, or you can bend through the right leg, taking the left hand to the right foot. Deepening the twist here. With each out breath, twisting a little deeper. Listening to your body and only going as far as you can go. Unwrapping the left arm, placing it back onto the left knee, and then stepping the hands down onto the mat. Pressing forward here with the hips. We're going to slowly lean back, straightening through the left leg, drawing the left toes back towards you, reaching for the left foot. If you need to here, you can come upright. Place a hand on the mat, reaching for the toes. If you can't reach the toes, just holding onto the shin. With each out breath, we're going to fold a little deeper. Focusing on that in and out breath. And then we're going to walk the hands forward, stepping back into the left foot. Bring the hands up in line with the left foot. Pressing forward once again. And then we're going to step the left foot back into tabletop, gently moving through the hips, leaning back, leaning forward. And then coming back to tabletop. Crossing the ankles, walking the hands back towards the knees, sitting down onto the mat. Extending both legs out in front, finding the center of the mat. Lifting up through the chest here, drawing the toes back towards you. Inhaling the hands up to the ceiling and exhale, folding forward. If you can't reach the toes, placing the hands on the shins, straightening through the back, folding from the hips. Walking the hands a little bit closer to the ankles, each out breath. Three more breaths here, folding a little deeper with each out breath. Knowing that growth comes from stepping outside your comfort zone. Sit with the uncomfortable. Focus on the breath. Engage with your senses. And then inhaling the hands back up to the ceiling and lowering them down by your sides. Bending through both knees, taking the soles of the feet together. We're going to hold onto the feet and gently move the knees up and down, opening through the hips, lifting up through the chest. So once again, feeling that string from the sit bones all the way through the spine, up to the roof, up to the ceiling. Taking in a few deep breaths. And then holding here. If you'd like to deepen the stretch, you can begin to walk the hands out in front, allowing the upper body to collapse over the hips. If you like, you can use your elbows to push the knees further down towards the mat. You can gently move the upper body left to right, noticing how the hips are feeling here. Deep breath in, folding a little deeper. Slowly walking the hands back towards, lifting up through the chest. You can straighten through the ankles and through the knees, just releasing the tension through the hips. You can move the knees from side to side, releasing through the hips, and then walking the feet back out to straight. Separating the feet here as far as you can, drawing the toes back towards you, lifting up through the chest. Inhaling the hands up to the ceiling and exhale, folding forward. Folding as far as you can go. Keep drawing those toes back towards you. You can drop the chin to the chest, allowing the weight of the upper body to be pulled forward with gravity. Focusing on the breath. Focusing the mind's awareness on the body. Slowly walking the fingers over to the left foot. Reaching both hands for the foot. If you can't reach the foot, just reaching for the shin. What I want you to feel is the slight extension through the lower back on the right side as you reach forward towards the left toes. And then walking the hands back to center and out a little bit further. And then walking them over to the right foot. Reaching both hands for the right foot, feeling the extension down the left side towards the lower back. Drawing both toes back towards you, keeping the left toes engaged. And then walking the hands back to center, out a little bit further. And then slowly walking them back towards your body, lifting up through the chest. From here, we're going to bend through the legs, crossing them in front of us, coming to a comfortable position. Gently rolling the shoulders up to the ears and down the back. And then back in the opposite direction. And back to center. Closing the eyes here, allowing the arms to drop from the shoulders, lengthening through the spine. Lifting the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. Taking in a couple of deep breaths. Connecting the mind's awareness back to your senses. Noticing what you can hear inside the room, and then projecting your hearing as far as it will go. Noticing what you can smell, what you can taste. Noticing any light flickering across the eyes. Noticing any shadows. And then drawing your awareness back to your physical body. Noticing the body's points of contact with the mat. Noticing the sensation of your clothing against your skin. Noticing the temperature of the air that surrounds you. And now following the breath for 3 counts. From when you inhale, feeling the air pass past the triangle of the nose. Feeling it as it enters the lungs and the chest expands. Feeling the weight of the chest and the air as you exhale. Opening your eyes here. Taking a moment to soak in the body, to soak in how it feels and how you feel in this moment. The first step to self-discovery is self-awareness. And the tools and tricks that you will learn throughout these classes will help you identify and adapt to emotions and issues as they arise. Knowing that at any point in time throughout your day, you can tap into your senses and bring your mind into the moment. Life isn't about regret for what has happened or anxiety for what will happen. It's about being present in the moment. So thank you for joining me on the mat today, and I look forward to the next 10 weeks together. I hope you have a brilliant day, and I hope you enjoyed today's practice. Thanks.